Respect in the workplace. I get asked about this topic a lot when I'm going to do training for organizations. And I'll say, okay, well, what are you looking for? And often they'll say, well, we're looking to build a culture of respect. But there's a lot of layers to that onion. So in this video, I'll talk about 3 aspects. 1 is as a manager, how people should respect you. 2 is how managers should respect their teams and others. And then 3 is about teams respecting each other. So when it comes to managers, I often hear people, or I can think of individuals in particular, one comes to mind, that would frequently say the word executive. Like, blah, 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 I should be respected because I'm an executive, or treat me like an executive. And I have had the pleasure, or whatever word you'd say, of working at every level of the org chart and seen family members do so, including at the very bottom levels. And so whenever I heard this idea of being treated like an executive, in my mind, it always stuck with me of like, why should somebody, because of their title, get more respect from other people? Meaning that I remember in particular, it's one leader that would always say the word executive, walked behind and left so much trash strewn about. And I thought, well, that doesn't show very much respect for the cleaning crew that's coming in, who, yes, has a job to do, but doesn't need to do that much. And so I see this now, not to that extreme, but I often see it with people that move into management and leadership roles who have this feeling of like, I should be treated with respect because of who I am. And if you think about that, you might see that of like an organization, especially one that has a bunch of different locations. And, a director, VP, CEO, whoever, the big boss may be coming to town, and you see everyone scurrying to get ready for it. And in fact, you may have people that are like moving weekend sides of plans aside, personal things, to all get ready to have this like air of perfection to show to this leader that as a sign of respect is making it look like, we have all of our stuff together. So as managers, I do see this instinct that as you move and you might be getting paid more, have other benefits to that, of feeling like I should have a higher level of respect because of this. But sometimes it's remembering that all those people that are working, often they're doing incredibly hard jobs. And so there may be different levels of compensation, different benefits, depending on your organization. But as a level of respect, having everybody on the same page and reiterating that to your teams, because teams often feel like there has to be this like power dynamic and that they have to like treat people with more respect the higher they are. But so as leaders of an organization or a leader of your team, to tell your team, I don't deserve any more respect than anybody else on this team. And everyone's voice is equal. So when you have ideas or contributions, you don't need to like agree with me just because of what my title is. And I'm not going to disagree with you because I want to look like I'm in charge. And so affirmatively talking about this and talking about levels of respect. And some of that can be like saying, if I set a meeting time and you truly can't do this due to your personal need, let me know. We can talk privately. You don't have to tell me, feel like you have to disclose something you're not comfortable disclosing. But I want you to feel comfortable that as a level of respect, we all are trying to do our jobs and have lives in and outside of work. But at a level of respect, nobody here should be treated differently than anybody else. And so thinking about that as a manager and setting that tone can be really helpful to not have this air where teams feel more afraid of you or like they can't, bring challenges or problems or mistakes. Having that environment where people know they're at least going to be respected can be really helpful to you and to your team's goals. So the other is for you to your team is actually, it's really easy. Well, it's not necessarily easy to say that, to stand in front of your team and talk about levels of respect and giving that assurance to your team. But it can be easier to say that than to do it and to remember. So when you're a manager and you may have a team member, you may have someone new that starts and says, oh, I have this conflict. And in your head, it may be natural to think, well, you got to figure your stuff out. Like everybody's got to pay their dues and you got to focus on this. But knowing that mentality happens to this day and has happened in a lot of workplaces. But if you start and rather than having team members feel like they have to like hide who they are or what else they have going on, or if they have challenges that they can't like raise their hand and say that, showing that level of respect to your team can be really helpful again to your leadership and meeting goals. And so following through when you talk about this levels of respect and showing that the same. So other things can be showing up on time for your one-on-ones. If there's a true emergency, handling that. and asking your team members about themselves as well. Stopping and talking to your team members and just knowing that sometimes you having those conversations and giving that attention to team members, they may not expect it because of your levels on the org chart. And so it can be really important for you to show those levels of respect to your team. And again, everybody has different responsibilities, what they do at work, but showing those consistent levels of respect can be incredibly important as a leader. The last is, what about respect amongst each other? So what if team members? Frequently I'll hear also about conflict. How do we manage conflict in the workplace? And that's a full topic for other videos as well. But one quick tip is, with teams, I will more frequently than not hear people say the line, I say we don't have to all be friends at work. And again, completely agree. You don't have to, and rarely are your workplace is going to be, all friends like that. But when you say we don't all have to be friends, again, that can make team members feel like, okay, who doesn't like me? Who's like, is there going to be conflict on the team? And so that negative can actually create situations where it makes people feel like splintered or disconnected. But so instead, focusing on respect and saying, as a team, it's really important that we all show each other respect and that we have each other's back. And saying, realistically, the things that will happen. Sometimes people will have personal things that come up that are not convenient to everybody else. Or you may have people that make mistakes or people that don't understand something. And so we will work through those, but no, we each will have these different types of challenges. And so knowing that as things happen, rather than thinking like assuming the worst or thinking about like, well, how does this impact me? Focusing and showing that respect and asking questions back. Okay, what can I do to help support you? Or I didn't understand. Okay, where are you getting tripped up? Where can I help? Can we sit side by side and show you? And so thinking about that and answering with questions and showing that level of respect and just leveling with people, saying like, we've all started day one at the organization. We've all had things happen that were not on the most convenient days. But so when you show your team's support and we show each other support, that can help rather than feeling like you're worried, like you're letting everybody down or everybody else is going to be, bugged. And so showing those respects. So if someone reaches out to you and, tells you something urgent and you're thinking in your mind, this is so inconvenient, rather than just moving on and not responding, just saying, it's okay, we'll figure it out. What can I do to help? Or I'll loop in, XYZ. You can loop me in at any time if you're the manager. And so just showing that levels of respect and painting that picture. Telling people we've all been in that situation and you don't hear back, and it can be a really lonely place to be. And the last thing we want to have at work is a situation where people feel anything less than like, okay, respected, I have mine. So altogether, the theme you'll see a lot of that is communication. And so whether it's having your team and thinking about how your team perceives you, or how you can work with your team, and then your team working amongst each other, a lot of it just is that communication. And so one, it's talking to your team and talking about these subjects that often people don't, but then also following through. So when your team members have things come up or don't understand, responding and giving them that level of respect rather than having people worry or feel like filling that silence with, oh, this is the worst scenario. So respect often is about communication. So we'll talk plenty more about this in upcoming videos, including on managing conflict. And if you like this type of style, again, I have my Manager 101 course. I'll leave that in the description, where I talk more about fundamentals of management and how you can think about things you can do to help to empower your team and empower your own career. And for organizations, I have the Manager 101 packages where teams take the Manager 101 training, so you all get those same lessons, and then internal toolkits for organizations to then run follow-up training to get managers to practice those. So I'll put that in the show description, and appreciate you watching as always.